Hi, my name is Roland, and everybody who knows my channel knows what kind of videos I typically show. But today this video will be a little bit different. Before this corona pandemic, I actually have not been a hotel manager, pool boy, gardener, DIY repair technician or hobby electronics. 1 year ago I returned from my last flight as a pilot of a 777. I did this job in an airline in Korea, one of the two major airlines there, as a first officer, and on 6th of March 2020 I returned from Honolulu back to Seoul, and that will be later on shown that it was my last flight, and probably it will have been my last flight forever. At the next day in the morning, it was very urgent, the situation. All the countries have considered closing borders, and I immediately evacuated Korea and came here to Thailand, where I have built up this holiday resort together with my wife. And since then I'm still here. But slowly, I mean, everybody will understand if I say this like this. Slowly I know that I will never do anything else anymore in a flight deck of an airplane. So why is that like that? I have been working as a pilot. I started actually 25 years ago in 1995 as a flight student with Austrian Airlines. That Austria is my home country, and so I managed to get one of the very few places there to start a training for an aviation pilot. And at the beginning I was flying MD-80s, then Airbus 340, 330, and later on I also flew the Boeing 777 for Austrian Airlines. Until one day Lufthansa took over Austrian Airlines, and at that time I then moved to Asia, because we already built our resort here, and I wanted to kind of stay closer to this place and just go work somewhere and commute more or less to here, so that we can finish this place up and also start to have guests. So that was for the last 7 years like that. I was working in Korea for about every month for about 20 days, 21 days, and then I came back here to stay here for, let's say, 7 days, 8 days, together with my wife here. And of course I always understood the risks going to a foreign country. You will never be equal to their own people, and especially when you go to an Asian country where the laws, all the contracts are constructed in a way that you really never part of the own work group there. I was basically sent via an agency as a freelance pilot to Korea, and of course in our contracts there is no word about pandemics or something like this, and the airline immediately took the chance and put us completely outside of any description in our contracts into unpaid leaves, and then after a few months they terminated the contracts. So by basically breaking every single agreement of that contract. So when the airline terminated the contract, they also immediately said they are not responsible for any of the duties. They usually would be like taking care of your flying licenses and stuff like that. As I was working for an airline in Asia and the pandemic started to spread from Asia, it hit me very early with this problem here, right? So before they even know what name they will give to this sickness, we have been already out of duty. So the pilots, expert pilots which worked probably here in Asian countries have been the first ones which have been affected by this, and so we are also the longest one. We are out of our jobs, and today is the anniversary of this. I am out of my job for 1 year, and what that means for a pilot is actually that all your licenses and stuff like that are more or less already lost. And airlines which would look for pilots, they of course ask you for recent flight experiences and stuff like that. And of course somebody in my situation cannot show any of this. So would there have been a chance to kind of hold on my licenses? I still have my air traffic pilot license, of course, but to validate this one I had to make a medical examination, which I that time did here in Thailand, and my license is Korean, so many airlines actually would not even accept this combination. Of course, type ratings, if you do not go to simulator checks, you will lose your type rating. That one I would already have to do 2 checks since I stopped flying, because my license, my type rating more or less already expired in the first or second months when I was put into unpaid leave. Could you do something like that by yourself? You could, but not in this situation. I will explain that. The going to a simulator to validate your license would require you to find a simulator, find another pilot who will join you to do this, find a flight instructor, go to another country, most probably, because there where you are you will not have a simulator which is certified. My license is a ICAO license, and so you would have to find a simulator which is ICAO certified. So this would have made me require to go to another country with another pilot, go to the hotel there, in this case pandemic, maybe go to quarantine, and then I would not have been able to come back home, because Thailand is still very restricted for entry, and they also require again quarantine, and it is a kind of state quarantine or alternative state quarantine, so you cannot just go home and make your quarantine at home. And this would of course all, you just see dollars adding up, and probably renewing the license one time would have cost me, I would say, around $10,000, and I would have to do it already 2 times, so, and then not be able to come home, right? I would have to go to Austria and kind of leave my wife back here alone, which would have been horrible, because my purpose here, what I'm doing here, is extremely valuable in a situation like this. Tourism is, as well as the aviation sector, very hardly hit due to this, and we had to lay off here also almost every worker, single worker we have. We only have one part-time housekeeper here, and the rest is done by the owners, by me and by my wife. So it's never boring because there's just never-ending stuff to do, and many of these you can see on my channel. What is happening, what is breaking down, and I try to repair it then. So will I ever be able to go back to my job? I think in my situation, as I said, as the expat pilot who does not have a home base, in this case, who does not have a company which is still have me in the pilot pool, right? I don't think so, because there is so many thousands of pilots who have been laid off just recently, so they still had, if it's just a few flights which they had the last year, it's still far more than what I have. And it would take so much money and training to bring me into a cockpit and again. The companies will first pick the easy ones, and then it depends, of course. If the recovery would be, it would have to be explosive, right? The situation would have to change from one day to the next in a kind of explosive manner, that pilots are required everywhere, and so many of them. It's a funny story. My friend, he just told me he's flying Airbus 320, and he said there was a airline in Europe looking for 5 pilots, and within 24 hours they got 5,000 applications. So that is how the situation looks like. So as a pilot of a 777, I don't think so. I enjoy my stay here, and I keep this channel here also to kind of remember myself of what is going on in the world in this situation, which is quite crazy. Of course, everybody is suffering somehow, and I believe that probably also viewers here of this channel will, some of them, not be in an easy situation too. So this video maybe as a message to young people whose dream job is to become a pilot. In this business, life can change very quickly from one day to the other. Yeah, here in our business, of course, everything what I have planned for my future, and that was why we actually built this place in a very sustainable manner, is because I was always planning to retire early from flying, and then come back here, and with just a small business. That's why, that's also the reason why we're still operating. Our operating costs are extremely low. For example, our electricity bill this month is only $60 US, and we are a resort. We are not even a small house or residence. This is all because we have been building our solar systems all in anticipation that later on the cost should be very low. And this came a little bit, the situation came a little bit too early, probably about 2 years. But what shall we do? We fighting more or less every day to stay in business here. I don't want to bore you any longer. So if you also suffer hardship due to this pandemic, I wish you all the best. We have to go through this together. And thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I see you next time.